So I'll just kind of give you an update on where we are. I think you guys know very clearly the plan to win strategy is what we aim to do here in Sacramento. Yesterday was a really, really good day for our community. We had a number of people step up and say, look, we want to lead the charge. Our goal, which I shared with you, was to get 3 to 5 people to come in at $1 million. We ended up getting 19 people right before the press conference. While the press conference was going on, and as soon as I got done, we got a 20th. And I was at my desk this morning at 7 o'clock, and we got another one who wanted to come in. So, and since then, I've got more calls. So it's good that people want to help out in that way. It just shows really what this community is made of. And I think that's what's probably so overwhelming for me. And it sends a really strong message to the NBA that we have a strong market and our community believes in itself, and we've exceeded expectations, which is really powerful. So again, I want to say thank you to them again. We are now moving on, our play to win strategy, step 2. We can cross off the first one. Step 2 is really looking for a major equity partner. And I will say today that we have made considerable progress in our discussions with a potential ownership group. What has become very clear to me is that all the ownership groups that we're talking to, they recognize that Sacramento is a strong NBA market, and they are fully committed to keeping the team in Sacramento. We are pursuing these conversations with a number of folks, but I will tell you this, all the ownership entities, they have the resources to run a championship caliber product for the NBA, and that's something that's very important to me and certainly our community. They all have a vision for the franchise, which is kind of neat. And at some point when we select, you'll be able to hear a little bit about that. And then thirdly, they're committed to being a partner with the city and making sure that we build a downtown arena that creates jobs and economic development. They have this sense of understanding that a basketball team is bigger than basketball. They're a community partner. Certainly there's other things that go on with other than sports, and they get that. And they want to be a community partner and certainly part of a broader community here in Sacramento. So again, I don't have a whole lot more to say than that today. If you guys have questions, I'd be glad to address a few of them to the best of my ability. I will say this, on number 2, we are working very quickly to try to solidify that particular piece. So questions, I'm ready.
You talk is in the pool of equity partners. Are these groups that are potentially competing against each other, or are they all working as one group? And how many groups are we talking?
You know, I'm not going to get into numbers. It's more than one. It's more than 2. I don't want to go a whole lot farther than that. But what I will say, the great news is there's such strong interest in the Sacramento market, and I think that's what we should be proud of. And I think that's the big takeaway.
Are they potentially competing against each other?
You know, we're kind of vetting, doing our due diligence, and, you know, everyone's trying to understand the deal, too. They're doing their due diligence. You know, at the end of the day, if there was X amount, maybe 1 or 2 say, you know what, we can't do it the more we understand, you know, what's happening in Seattle. No one knows clearly what that deal structure looks like in Seattle. Everybody's trying to get a handle on that.
Barry, can you discuss the report that Ron Burkle and Mark Mastrov are in serious discussions with the partner on a bid?
So I will say this. I mean, we have had serious discussions, and we're making considerable progress. But I do want to respect the nature of those discussions and not really get into that at this particular time.
Would you be able to talk about what kind of teaming, what that would do in terms of a counter offer for you if Mr. Burkle and Mr. Mastrov were to partner on a bid for the team?
Yeah, I don't really want to speculate. I will say that we're playing to win, and we're going to do everything that we can to put the best group forward. And part of that meant partnering with our local business community as well. And I think we're on track to do that. Again, I mean, we're having, you know, really serious discussions. Again, I think that I don't want to put a timeline on it, but I think, you know, by next week we should be able to be in a position to address the second one, and I think that's really important. And I think part of my comments yesterday to the folks in Seattle is we're empathetic to what's happening in Seattle. We really are. We understand how tough it is to have your emotions go up and down as a community. But at the same token, I just want them to know that, you know, we're going to fight like crazy to keep our team here. And if that's an outcome, that's, you know, that to me is an outcome that we're striving for.
On number 3 with the downtown arena, have you, is there a site that you prefer? Do you prefer the rail yard, given what the city's done to that spot? Do you prefer the plaza? You can talk to that.
So let me say two things. Number one, I'll answer your question, but what's been really interesting is that folks who've analyzed the opportunity in terms of a downtown arena, they have the clear belief that doing a downtown arena makes good economic sense, with or without a team. And to me, that is a powerful place. All of you guys in here asked me when the deal kind of fell apart the first time, is there a plan B? And can you build an arena with or without an anchor tenant? People are starting to believe in our market to that degree. Yes, we want to have our team and build an arena, but they feel the economics make sense, even if for some strange reason we didn't have an NBA team. And that, to me, is a really powerful place for us to be as a community, that people are starting to see our market in the way that I think all of us from this community see it. Do I have a preference? No. I think that when we're looking at a downtown arena, we as a city council made a very strong commitment of a public investment at the rail yard site. We have a number that was real. As we continue to look at who our partners may be, there's going to be probably more than one site that we'll have to consider, and we'll do that in a timely manner.
I mean, do you plan on taking this, before you go to the board of governors, do you plan on taking this ownership group, this equity group, and the arena plan back to the council, just to have kind of a political stamp of approval on it?
Remember that I appointed an ad hoc committee, so they are caught up to speed. Daniel, my chief of staff, is communicating with the city manager and all the council members in real time and department heads. Everybody knows what's at stake on this. And what we want to do, to answer your question, is even before we go back to New York, which is mid-April, we want the NBA to know that, number one, we have credible equity partners that are part of an ownership group that is comprised of big dollars and people who are from Sacramento. That, number two, that our city is making a strong commitment to follow through on its public investment to have a downtown arena in Sacramento. That's a building that we are delivering on. It's what we said we were going to do 2 years ago, and we're going to honor our commitment. And that, thirdly, is that we have a strong market and that Sacramento deserves to be an NBA city. Those are the three things. We've done everything that has been asked, and certainly council will be able to stamp that second point with a very strong showing.
So, you expect to bring something formal, resolution, something to the council?
Yeah, we're having these discussions right now amongst ourselves and trying to determine how do we make the strongest statement, and I think we'll be in a position to do that.
Mayor, what's the mayor?
Let's go here and here, yeah.
Seattle Group has fallen $16 billion of enhancement work, several million bucks. Are you concerned that you're not going to have enough to match that? Do you think you need to get to that $16 billion number?
Yeah, I again, it doesn't do me any good to overly speculate. Maybe I can add a little bit of light on the situation. Is the Golden State Warriors were purchased by a guy named Joe Lacob, and Larry Ellison was bidding on it. So in terms of your comparison, the one who had the most wealth didn't end up getting a team in Golden State. So I think there's reason to believe that the deepest pockets don't necessarily end up always as the winning bidder. I think for us, it's about not worrying about somebody else. It's really worrying about what we need to do here in Sacramento, and that's really our commitment. Great for the Seattle folks. I want them to get a team at some point. But we've got to control our own destiny and worry about what we need to do. And that's kind of our commitment. And I think the NBA certainly respects that.
Mayor, can we talk a little bit about the process here? You have the ownership group. Once you lock down the equity partner, how do you convince them to lose and then sell to you guys? How do you stop a deal that's already in place?
Yeah, I can't get into all that because I think, the NBA has its process and timeline. What I do know is that March 1st is when I'm assuming, Chris Hansen or the Maloofs would file for either relocation or a sale. The good news for all of us in Sacramento is anything that's going to be approved has to be approved by the NBA, both relocation and sale. And we are going to get a chance to address the Board of Governors in April. That's what we do know. All those details, I have no idea how that will ultimately work.
So let's just say that the Board of Governors rejects the relocation to Seattle. Then the Blues still on the team, correct? What do you do then?
I can't, again,
Right the road.
Yeah, well, it's not only too far down the road, I just don't know. I mean, again, everybody's writing about it, and there's no precedent. This is not something that, this exact thing has happened, 4 times in NBA, and here's how it's been dealt with. This is slightly different. And why is that? This is why I believe so strongly in our community. When has a team ever been bought and relocated when a city and a community has done everything that was asked of it? That just hasn't happened. I don't have that. I don't have any example. No one has had an example of that being the case. There's always some mitigating circumstances, meaning a community said they're going to build an arena and they didn't do it, or this fan base and the community doesn't support it, or the corporate folks have walked away because some big company has been relocated. None of those apply to Sacramento. They really don't, and that's the reality.
Two more questions.
Mayor, I'll put 2 questions in one, and somebody else can answer. First off, do we have a total dollar amount that we're looking at with the team, with the arena, with paying off the loan? And how does the existing arena fit into this going forward? Is the city, how is that going to play out? Is there anything you know specifically about that?
Let me try to break them out to the best of my ability. I mean, the dollar value, all we know is that the valuation in Seattle is at $525. We all know that. How that deal is structured, we have no idea. We know in Sacramento, we're playing to win, and we got to be competitive, and the equity partners certainly know that. In terms of the loan, what was the second? You asked about the loan or the?
Well, I was adding that into the first question, which was the paying for an arena, paying for the team, paying off the loan due to the city.
So I would say that in that 525, again, I have not seen a deal. I'm assuming all that is in there because there's no way somebody can buy our team and move it without making good on the loan of 70 to 75 million. So that would have to be included in that, I'm assuming.
But if you're an NBA owner.
Hold on, are you done?
No. You got the third part to your one part? Well, it's more like a part 1C. And then Sleep Train Arena, what happens to that?
I'm only speculating, but I would say, number one, that in the scenario where I believe we win and we keep our team in Sacramento, that they would continue to play at Sleep Train Arena for 1, 2, or 3 more years until we build a downtown arena. At that point, then the new owner of the team, as you look at the acreage out there that both the city owns and the new owner of the team would own, and the building and the practice site, would all determine what we want to do there. I said yesterday, Angelique is not here, the vice mayor, but reuse and doing something really smart there is important. There's got to be an environment where we think smart and strategically about what to replace, assuming there's a downtown arena.
I only have one part.
Thank you.
If you have a valuation of this team at $525 million for Seattle, if you're an NBA owner of another team, why would you not think that's your best deal? Because it instantly makes your team worth more than if the team were to stay here 350.
Well, I said, maybe this gets at it, that I know we're going to get a chance to present a offer, and our offer is going to be fair and competitive.
Does
So
that
if,
mean possibly at that valuation?
it's going to be fair and competitive. So if you're an NBA owner, you'd want to see what those are before you can get to that conclusion that you laid out. We're not going to come in and, say the team is worth blank. We're not going to win that way. So we know we have to be fair and competitive. We do know that. Now, again, when you look at the deal structure, there's so many dollars and things that may or may not be included. We just don't know that yet. And this is really the equity partner. I mean, they're going to have to figure out that before we ultimately, come forward and know what we need to do.
When do you think you might announce the equity partner?
My goal would be to, hopefully be in a position to do it next week.
Next week.
Yeah.
What's the process?
That means Monday, sometime as early as Monday and as late as Sunday.
It's Sunday.
All right, Friday.
What's the process that you're going through to?
Hold on, I gotta roll because I got 2 things I gotta do. So wait. I'm sure I answered every major question today, right?
What kind of guidance has the commissioner given you since you
Okay,
approved?
go ahead, real quick. I'll answer both real quick. I just gotta roll.
What's the process you're going through to get to, big whale?
Yeah, I mean, they've come to me and they said, look, we want to participate. And I said, there's more than one, there's more than 2. And now they're doing their due diligence too. They're looking at the deal structure. They're trying to get as much information as possible. And the more they get it, the more excited they'll be, the more they're going to ask more questions. All that's good stuff. So they're just trying to understand the economics of it. And I have a call scheduled with the commissioner. Is tomorrow Thursday? Tomorrow. So I'll be talking to the commissioner. I'll update him on our local group here in Sacramento. I'll update him on our efforts, and we'll kind of go from there.